always enthused about choice, and I was always enthused about the Book of Kells, but being able to pull the two of them together was pretty exciting. And so that sort of added to, you know, not only my interest, but took me to where I am today.
And at the expense of surprising you, because I'm told that you're a humble man, students say wonderful things about you at Berkeley. And what they particularly emphasize is this. They say that when they take art history from you, each and every time you speak, you make them feel as if you're speaking to them individually.
Well,
how do you do that, Henry?
I am. As you know.
How do you do it?
Excuse me?
Because your classes are quite large.
They are.
And they don't feel as if they are part of a mass, but they feel authentically individuated, because you look at them in their eyes, individually.
Oh, yeah.
So they feel.
Oh, yeah.
How do you do that?
Well,
how do you manage to manipulate them so effusively?
Well, you know how blessed we both are to be at a place like Berkeley, but I usually notice that on the first week of class, most of the students seem to be in either the middle or the back of the room. And then the second week of class, a few more students will move up a little further and a little further. And by about the fourth week of class, there's a core of people there who really appear to be excited about, because what's so thrilling, I mean, for me, and I know for you, we're talking to artists about art.
Yes.
Tedros, I've been in places where I might be giving a gallery talk in the hallowed halls of the Museum of Fine Arts, and someone might say to me, oh, are there any questions? Yes. Is the frame real? And then we revert to our philosophical. Now we're talking about the id, but the thing that's, for me, among the many reasons I'm so excited about being at a place like Berkeley, is that we're talking to artists about art. And I love to quote Robert Frost. I cannot think of the poem right now. Oh, Departmental. The last line of the poem, he says, it's knowing what to do with things that counts. And I think that is such a great intro to art for at least our students, or for any students anywhere. I like to tell the students, I said, it doesn't matter. You know, we go back to Lao Tzu in China, who tells us, on a blank sheet of paper is contained the infinite. I think that's so great. On a blank sheet of paper is contained the infinite. So whether somebody is composing a tune, a symphony, a poem, a painting, we all begin the same way, with a blank sheet of paper. And then Robert Frost comes in, but it's knowing what to do with things that counts. And I think that's a really important consideration. And I grieve when I realize that not everyone seems to understand the power of art. I mean, it's such a powerful entity. And I think all too often there are people, there are politicians who might just dismiss art as an elitist tool.
As a leisure, an unnecessary leisure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sad to see that happen, but well, we're every day a new beginning.
Mm-hmm. Now, Henry, why should anybody, literally anybody, not necessarily and exclusively artists, but non-artists also be interested in art?
Oh, good.
Make a case for
Yeah. Oh, well.
for art. Why should I be
L'histoire
interested
de
in
ma vie, you know. No, when we were talking about our hour together, I was giving some thought to some of the points that we were making, and I came across a quotation quoted by the great American actor Sean Penn, but it's a quotation from E.L. Doctorow, and the quote is, "The responsibility of the artist is to know the time in which he lives." End quote. I think that's very powerful. We were talking a moment ago about 3 works of art in particular, and in January, when I come back, I'll have these that we can see them. But one work is by Francisco Goya, which I just saw this time last week in Madrid, which is called The Executions of the 3rd of May.
Yes.
And then at the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston, there's a great work. Oh, by the way, the Goya was painted about 1804. The painting by Edward Manet, which is at the MFA in Boston, was painted in 1865.
Okay.
And then there's a work in 1953, painted by Picasso, at whose name every head should bow, or so I think, which is called Massacre in Korea. And the 3 works are astonishing in terms of the time in which they were created. Goya is painting for a group of people who needed a visual representation of something happening. Then Manet comes along. Manet was born in 1832, and the camera was invented in 1839.
Amazing.
So the painting, which is at the Museum of Fine Arts, is a work that was painted for people who were accustomed to seeing images in newspapers, in journals, in magazines. But then we have Picasso coming in, 1953, Massacre in Korea. I won't even try to describe the work, because to me it would be 28,000 words, not just one picture, so we'll wait till later. But each one of these works were painted for a particular audience at a particular time. And I think that's also very important to consider, is that the work of art is not created in a void. A work of art is created for a particular audience at a particular time. If the work of art is able to survive, to be appreciated, it becomes a classic, just like a fine piece of music. Whether we're talking about Antonio Vivaldi, whether we're talking about Hildegard of Bingen, or whether we're talking about Gustav Mahler or John Lennon. You know, these are classics, and they survive, and they have not only a universal appeal, but they have a timely appeal and a contemporary appeal. And I think that, going back to what you were saying initially, I think it's what Sean Penn is quoting, that it's the responsibility of the artist to know the time in which he lives. Again, the work of art not created in a void. There's a reason that the artist is doing what she is doing, what he is doing at a particular moment, is indicative of the time in which we live. Think about when I do art history classes, if the class begins with medieval art, I put together a tape of Gregorian chant, and I'll just tell the students,